Hello, Year 10 students, and welcome back to episode 5 of our series here on 12 Angry Men. And we're picking up at the bottom of page 37 in our books. We've just gone past the, it's not a vote, but the fifth juror has changed the vote. So it's now 9 votes to guilty, 3 not guilty. After the presentation of a few bits of evidence, particularly looking at the eyewitness testimonies, and the jurors discover that the old man who heard the killing and then heard him say, "I'm going to kill you," we realised that that couldn't be possible if the other piece of eyewitness testimony where the woman actually saw the killing through a train. So they both couldn't be true. And then we talked about, or the jurors talked about, the old man, and maybe he wouldn't have lied, but he would have made himself believe that he'd heard those words because of a desire to be important, to be significant, to be noticed, listened to, recognised, quoted. Okay. And then we also talked about, the jurors talked about the fact that even if he did say, "I'm going to kill you," does it really mean he's going to kill him? Or is it just a phrase that we use every other day? Juror 3 was adamant that no, if anybody says a thing like that, the way he said it, they meant it. File that away because it becomes significant later on. Anyway, so Juror 7's horrified response to the fifth juror changing his vote. And then he says, there are facts staring you right in the face, and those facts staring you in the face. And sometimes the facts that are staring you in the face are wrong, says Juror 8 in response. And I've got a red a star, and I think that's also indicative of the voice of Reginald Rose there, that we need to be aware that sometimes the facts that are staring us in the face are wrong. Sometimes we need to question, think critically. We need to actually ask ourselves, is everything actually as simple as they're making it out to be? And that was true at the time, Reginald Rose in the 50s, when he wrote this during the time where communists and suspected communists were persecuted underneath the McCarthy regime, and McCarthyism, Senator McCarthy, and equally true today in 2022, where there will be things that are presented and we need to question the facts. Yeah, they talk about fake news. Let's question whether what we are presented with is true. Anyway, so Juror 7's talking about, well, what about the lawyer? Why didn't the lawyer say it? And then 8th juror says, well, the lawyer was court appointed, which means he was free. And possibly a problem with the jury system if they're free, if the court-appointed lawyers don't do the job properly, that's going to limit the effectiveness and reliability of the judicial system. It says, well, it could mean a lot of things. It could, with no hope, no money, no glory, not much chance of winning. The lawyer might not have put up a good fight. Notice some stage directions here of the 7th juror who looks up at his watch and then at the clock. His impatience is clear. So there's a lot of evidence that you could find and collect to do with the 7th juror and his impatience. Quotes like, he had baseball tickets burning a hole in his pocket. Looking at his watch, his impatient, frustrated tone, his clear desire to be out of the room as quickly as possible so that he can follow his own interest, which is, in this case, the baseball game. Anyway, the 11th juror is making notes, and notice the 11th juror and the way that he really is an example of someone who takes the jury system and the responsibility of being a juror seriously. He he defends democracy, defends free speech. He admires the system of the jury system, and here he's actually made notes. He's saying, look, the boy looks guilty, but there's a question. We assume the boy committed murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and ran away. Now, why? How was he caught by police? He came home 3 o'clock. If he really had killed his father, why would he have come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of getting caught? So they're questioning whether or not the boy would have acted that way. And then, so the 11th juror saying, well, he knew the knife was special, could be identified. Why would he have left it there? The 4th juror as well, he was in a state of panic. Only when he calmed down did he realize he left the knife. But the 11th juror retorts that, well, he was calm enough to see there were no fingerprints in the knife. So how, that doesn't seem to make sense. Where did his panic start and end? And so it's hypothesizing. There's nobody really knows, but the 11th juror here is presented, and here is the important thing of that conversation, I believe. And I think, again, I've got it as a Reginald Rose views and values statement. And that is, I don't believe you need to be loyal to one side or another. I am simply asking questions. Yeah, he said, because the 3rd juror says, look, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on? See, the 11th juror is like, well, I don't think I need to be loyal to a side. My interpretation of that is we shouldn't be loyal to a side. We should be loyal to the truth. And here Rose is advocating the loyalty to the truth is more important than loyalty to any side. Yeah. And he continues, so that's another piece of evidence they're deliberating. So the 11th story, maybe he wouldn't have gone back. He doesn't think that the boy would have gone back. And they continue to debate and discuss that. The 8th juror, I guess, reinforces that idea that there's a doubt whether the boy was even there at all when the murder took place, to which the 10th juror says, he's twisting the facts. There can't be a doubt. Didn't the old man see him running out of the house? Which we sort of already have disproved. Well, he says he did. The 10th juror here. Boy, oh boy, how do you like that? Well, did he or didn't he? Did the woman across see the kid kill his father? She says she did. You making it out like don't matter what people say. What you want to believe, you believe. And what you don't want to believe, you don't. What kind of way is that? Which is ironic because he himself is probably actually believing what he wants to believe and not wanting to believe what he doesn't. But anyway, and he says, the facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted and there's no reason for it. Witnesses can make mistakes. Sure, when they want them to, you do. Know what I mean? All right. And so they call for another vote. And at this point, the 5th, 8th, and 9th jurors raise their hands for not guilty. And immediately afterwards, the 7th juror says, I'm telling you, we can yakety yak until next Tuesday. Here, where's it getting us? Again, that's his frustration and impatience. To which the 11th juror says, I vote not guilty. And so at this official vote, we now have 8 not guilty, 4 not guilty. Okay. And the 3rd juror's response, he says, everyone's heart is starting to bleed for the punk little kid, like the president declared it Love Your Underprivileged Brother Week. The 11th juror says, I don't have to defend my decision. I have a reasonable doubt in my mind. So the 11th juror has weighed up the evidence. He questioned, and now he's actually come to a point where he has a reasonable doubt. Remember that the 11th juror, as an immigrant now, is representing the admiration for the jury system, someone who takes the responsibility seriously, who questions and is an example of what Reginald Rose is hoping to see within the judicial system. He's saying this is necessary. The 3rd juror, look at this, Mr. Reasonable Doubt. He says, take this knife. The kid you decided isn't guilty was seen ramming this thing into his father. Well, look at this, Mr. Reasonable Doubt. And the 9th juror, that's not the knife, don't you remember? Ironic too, because that's the whole point of the second knife, meaning that, well, actually, if the knife is so easy to purchase, then perhaps it's not as unique and therefore maybe doesn't belong to the boy after all. And the jurors continue chatting. The seventh jurors discussing a boxing fight, I think. And the eighth juror asks to see the diagram of the apartment. And it's in response to this question, this piece of evidence. The old man ran 15 seconds. It took him to run to the door to see the boy going down the stairs. And did the old man say he ran to the door, ran, walked? What's the difference? He said he ran to the door. I don't know. How could he have ran? And so they decide they're going to check out this new piece of evidence, which is to do with the apartment. And is it possible? And the juror 8 says he wants to see if a very old man who drags one leg when he walks because he had a stroke last year can get to his bed, to his front door in 15 seconds. He said 20. He said 15. I'm telling you, he said 20. He said 15. How does he know how long 15 seconds is? You can't judge that kind of thing. He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about it. He's an old man. You saw him. Half the time he was confused. How could he be positive about anything? Again. And we have some irony here, because if we are expecting the old man to be positive about identifying the accused, then we should also hope that he is positive about how long 15 seconds is. And so there is a diagram. I don't know, there's some bedrooms, but essentially the bed, front door, and he has to go from the bed out, and it's like 42 feet and I don't know, 10, 12 feet, like 60 feet, or approximately 20 meters. How long is it going to take him to walk it? They reenact it here. And so they said it's 15 seconds. And so the eighth juror goes in the plan, it looks at the plan, the L tracks the bedroom, another bedroom, bathroom, living room, kitchen, and the front door. And so they measure out the 12 feet and 43 feet. So they measure out in the jury room. They put the chairs there, and juror 8, so he paces it off, and at page 46, okay, juror 8, once they've paced it off and they know exactly, like in the jury room, they're recreating this, he walks, and the stage directions describe him hobbling, dragging one leg towards the chair. And 10th juror says, he walked twice as fast as that, hurry up. But juror 11 says, I think it's even more quickly than the old man walked in the classroom. But the 8th juror says, look, if you think I should go faster, he will. And he speeds up. He opens an imaginary chain lock. And the second juror who's timing it says 42 seconds. And they realise, hang on, 15 seconds, it's not possible for him to have got to the front door. And the 8th juror proposes that the old man heard the fight. While lying in bed, he heard a body. He got up, tried to get to the door, heard somebody racing down the stairs, and assumed it was the boy. And the third juror accuses juror 8 of being sanctimonious. Okay, I've heard all kinds of dishonesty, but this sanctimonious talk about slum kids and injustice, well, that takes the cake. You make up some wild stories, and every one of you knows that this kid is guilty. He's got to burn. We're letting him slip through our fingers here. Notice the aggressive attack on the young accused and also his fellow jurors, but particularly the emotional tone you can see here indicating his own personal bias because of his own son, which we've learnt about. And juror 8 calls him out on this, saying, what are you, his executioner? I'm one of them. Well, would you like to pull the switch? You bet I'd like to pull the switch. The 8th juror accuses, ever since we walked in this room, you've been behaving like a self-appointed public avenger. I'm telling you now, shut up. You want this boy to die because you personally want it, not because of the facts. Shut up. You're a sadist. Shut up, you son of a bitch. And they have a bit of a fight. And juror 3 says, let go of me, goddammit. I'll kill him. I'll kill him. And juror 8 calmly responds, almost like this taunt has been planned. You don't really mean you'll kill me, do you? And the action pauses. And that is the end of Act 1. And remember that juror 3 himself was the one who said, if somebody says I'm going to kill him, and he says it like that, he's going to mean it. So it's kind of ironic here that now he's the one who's actually saying he's going to kill juror 8. And so, act, scene, and we're going to continue with Act 2 in the next video.